Ladies and gentlemen, something massive is happening inside Formula One right now. And if you think this is just another weekend of racing drama, get ready. Because what happened in Japan may have just changed the future of this sport forever. I'm talking about Max Verstappen, four-time world champion, the guy who dominated this sport like nobody since Michael Schumacher, the man who turned Red Bull racing into a dynasty. And right now, he's at his limit. Not with racing, but with all of this. Let's set the scene. Suzuka, one of the most iconic circuits on the calendar. A track that has historically belonged to Verstappen and Red Bull, and yet Max starts outside the top 10, fights his way through the middle of the pack, and crosses the finish line in eighth, behind Pierre Gasly in an Alpine. Not just behind him, blown away in terms of pace, Gasly went right past Verstappen like he was standing still. And you know what Max did? He waved at him from inside the cockpit. Some people thought that was funny. Max? He was not playing around. All of a sudden, I'm 50 kilometers per hour slower here, he said. I was counting the laps. 15 to go, 10 to go, 5 more. Let's go. That's it. That is not a racing driver in his element. That is a man counting down to the end. And the frustration went even deeper when he brought up China, another race where he was stuck in traffic, unable to pass, trapped in a machine that simply doesn't have the battery to sustain an overtake. You can overtake, he said, but then you have no battery left for the next section. This is not a setup issue. This is not a tire strategy mistake. This is a structural problem with the Red Bull RB21. And Max Verstappen knows it. He feels it every single lap, and he is done with it. But this is where the story takes a turn that nobody in the paddock saw coming. After qualifying, Verstappen said he had a lot to think about. Most people assumed he meant strategy, car development, the usual stuff. But when reporters pushed him after Sunday's race, Max dropped a bombshell. I need to figure out what I really want, he said. It's about the future. That's what this is about. It's not about my personal life. I'm going to use the next weeks and months for that. Weeks and months. That is not a man deciding on a car setup. That is a man deciding whether he wants to stay in Formula One at all. And then he said this, and these words are going to echo through the paddock for a long, long time. Life goes on, you know. There are more things in life than Formula One. There are other things you can do. Other things? Other things. He mentioned wanting to race in the qualifying events for the Nürburgring 24 Hours. He talked about going to the theater. Yeah, the theater. With Viaplay. He's laughing. He's waving at rivals from inside his car. This guy is mentally somewhere else right now. And this is the moment where I need to ask you something directly. If this video is bringing value to your day, if you're learning something, if you're feeling that fire that only F1 can give us, hit that like button right now. It takes 2 seconds, and it genuinely helps us keep bringing you these exclusive deep dives every single week. We are so close to the next milestone. Help us get there. Now, let's talk about what the Red Bull camp is saying. Because Laurent Mekies, the team principal, sat down in front of the cameras at Suzuka and tried to calm things down. And what he said was revealing. He was not worried about Max's motivation. He was not. But here's the thing. The way he talked about it tells us everything we need to know about what's going on behind closed doors. We certainly focus on the competitive picture. That's what we do. We don't have any discussion about other aspects, Mekies said. Translation? They know. They know Max is frustrated. They know the car isn't fast enough. And they know the clock is ticking. Mekies went further. I'm sure that when we give him a fast car, we will have a much happier Max. When we give him a car where he can push and make a difference, we will also have a happier Max. Honestly, that is 100% of our discussions. 100%. Every single conversation inside Red Bull Racing right now is about making that car fast enough to keep Verstappen from walking out the door. That is the reality of this moment. A four-time champion, without a doubt the best driver on the grid, and his team is in full-on crisis mode, trying to build a car worthy of him before he decides to leave. And the regulations? Even Mickey's admitted they're complicated. He said the teams are going to meet during the break to discuss how to adjust the rules and make them better, which means this isn't going away. The sport itself is being questioned by the man sitting at the very top of it. Meanwhile, over at Ferrari, because this paddock never slows down, Lewis Hamilton was living his own nightmare in real time. The seven-time champion started sixth, finished sixth. In between, he spent the entire race defending, not attacking, not chasing victories. Defending. I was just struggling with power during the race for some reason. I was just down, he admitted. Down on power, down on pace, down in spirit. All while his teammate Charles Leclerc drove the exact same car to a third-place finish. Somehow, Charles had more power than me today. Same car. I need to understand that, Hamilton said. A man who came to Ferrari to win championships, watching his teammates step onto the podium while he fights just to hold his position. That is not what Lewis Hamilton signed up for when he joined the Scuderia. And you can feel in every single word he chooses that the adjustment to life at Ferrari is a whole lot harder than anyone is willing to admit publicly. It's never good when you're just trying to keep yourself within the pack, he said. And when fresh tires went on, still no pace, still no power. That was very confusing, he admitted. Confusing for him, terrifying for Ferrari, because they have one of the most decorated drivers in the history of this sport, and right now they can't even deliver consistent machinery from one car to the other, inside their own garage. So here's where we stand after Japan. Max Verstappen, the dominant force of this era, is publicly questioning his future in Formula One. His team knows it, the sport knows it, and he knows that everyone knows. Lewis Hamilton, the man who was supposed to finally chase down that 8th title with Ferrari, is fighting for 6th place and can't even match his own teammates' power output. And Formula One itself, the greatest motorsport on the planet, is heading straight into a regulatory gray area that its own teams are planning to sit down and renegotiate. This is not a sport sitting in a comfortable place. This is a sport standing at a crossroads.